Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Steve Down. This is my guitar. If you've just joined us, we are in the 4th episode in a series looking at my favourite things, the version by Kenny Burrell. As always, I'm transcribing the entire tune. So far we've looked at the head, and this week we start looking at the solo. Along the way, we're going to study Kenny's approach. We're going to take apart his solo, look at what he might have been looking at in terms of harmonically, melodically, rhythmically, and some of his technique as well, and give you some ideas for things you can use in your own solos. Thanks as always to my patrons. I'm going to read out your names because there's been a lot of you in the last couple of weeks while I've been away, because I've had COVID in the last couple of weeks, which has not been fun. So that's why it's been a bit quiet on the old YouTube channel. But thanks for you guys who signed up. So that's John, Adam, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but I think it's Cypren, Ivor, Ginardo, Christian, Carolina, and Greg. So yeah, thanks so much. And in the last week as well, I've had some chats online as well with some of you guys in the VIP levels. So yeah, it's really great to meet some of you guys. So if you want to join the Patreon, then the link is here. At the starting level, you're going to get the backing track and all of the transcriptions and any extras that I pop up. At the second level, you can get all of that, and also you can request your own transcription. And then at the third level, you get access to all of that, plus you get an hour lesson once a month with me as well. So make sure you take a look at the link on the screen and see if you want to sign up. If you want to support but you don't want to sign up to anything, then there's a link to buy me a coffee below. And don't forget, as always, to hit the like button and also the subscribe button, and drop me a comment below if you want to tell me about anything I've missed, or you want to comment on anything I've said or ask a question. So let's get on with it. Here's the first 4 bars of the solo. So the first phrase in this solo is actually a continuation of a little lick which he starts in the previous section. So he starts that idea going, and then carries on into the solo. Okay, and it's really important to make sure that you're getting the articulation right there, because he's playing a lot of staccato lines. So there's a lot of notes there that are short and clipped. And you've got some accents in there as well. So just make sure that you're listening out for that stuff there if you want to make it sound exactly like Kenny. Where this line is taken from is from a natural minor scale. It sounds like it's taken from a pentatonic scale, but it's actually a natural minor scale, because we've got the presence of that C there, which is in the natural minor scale. This is the natural minor scale. So the natural minor scale is basically a G major scale, but starting on the E. As you might know, it's a relative minor of the G major scale. And what I believe that Kenny's doing there is he's trying to suggest a B7 flat 9 chord. This chord here, which is basically B, A, D sharp, and then a C in the top. And there's the C in the melody line. Okay, and even though the band have gone back to E minor, he's still suggesting B7 from there, and it's just creating some nice tension there. And then he moves into a lick which is really, really important that you learn properly, because it comes back so many times in this solo. And this is it slowed down. And so this lick is taken from the blues scale, which is a hexatonic scale. Remember, a 6-note scale, not a 5-note scale, not the pentatonic scale. A 6-note scale because you've got the presence of that sharp 4 or flat 5, the B flat in both octaves. Okay, a scale that probably all of you know, and he's playing this lick, okay, there, and he's playing this lick here, okay, where basically he's sliding up from the A note to the B flat, and then back down again to the A, and then pulling off to the G, and then going back to the A again afterwards. So now there's many different ways that he plays this later in the piece. Even in this section, this 16-bar section, he plays it again, and he can play it with sliding or with hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay, so it's really, really important that you listen out and read the transcription to make sure you know which one he's doing, but just make sure that you've got an attention to detail with the lick itself, just to make sure that it sounds right. It's not surprising that this lick crops up. It's a classic blues lick, and you'll see people, you know, from B.B. King to Eric Clapton using it. And Kenny was very influenced by the blues greats of the late 40s and 50s, and also the blues explosion in the UK and in America, the electric blues explosion in the 1960s as well. So it's no wonder that he's using this lick here, but it's really, really important lick to use, to learn in lots of different keys and move around the fretboard. Okay, make sure you learn it as many different positions as you can, because it's really important. Okay, let's move on to the next 4 bars. Okay, so this starts off with a really classic descending blues lick. Okay, so it's a really, really cool way of basically descending the blues scale, not necessarily using all of the notes, suggesting a 5/7 sharp 9 chord. You can see that he's starting with a D there, and I believe that he's suggesting a 5/7 chord because he seems to be wavering between the dominant chord and resolving back to the 1 chord quite a lot in the solo. So I believe that he's trying to suggest that the B7 sharp 5, which is this chord here. And the note that he's got is that he's starting on is that D there, and it's really cool that he starts on the and of 1. So instead of going 1 2 3 4 like that, he's going 1 2 3 4 like that, and that's a really cool, funky way of starting a phrase, is to start on the and of 1. So give that a go in your own solos. And then he continues on down, and you can hear that tension and resolution. You've got that melody line starting on a tense note and then resolving to the 1 there. So it's really obvious in my mind that he's going from 5 to 1. And then he finishes it off by going down the blues scale a little bit more. And you'll notice that he doesn't go all the way down using all of the notes. He skips out that B note there and just goes from D to the sharp 4 or flat 5 and pulling off, and then again, you know, he's creating some tension and then resolve, just like he's doing here. Okay, so really important lesson to learn here is just that you can run a scale and make a melody as long as you give it some space and articulation, and you don't necessarily have to, you know, use every single note within the scale. Okay, let's move on to the next 4 bars. So this is a cool little line here, quite simple. All he's doing here is he's just creating some call and response. So you've got 2 calls, 2 responses. First call is this, okay, and he's gone up into the next stage of pentatonic up here, the next position. okay, up here. So, and then resolves it down here, gives a response, okay. And then another call, basically a repeat of that, just down an octave, and then gives a response to it. It's a really good idea to make sure that you're practicing call and response. I keep talking about it on this channel all the time, call and response. And you don't have to have another instrumentalist to be able to respond to your call. You can just do it yourself and imagine that you're someone else. So you could, have an idea just like this. And so you start off with your idea and then resolve it with a response, okay? And, this is another classic blues lick here, but, starting off with a really simple idea and then going lower down or higher up and responding to it creates a lovely melody. It creates an arc in your melody. You start off either high and you go down, or you start off low and you go high. Okay, so you're creating a story in your melody. Okay, let's move on to the final 4 bars of this section. Okay, I told you that this line would come back again, so he's playing this melismatic blues lick again, and this time he's using hammer-ons and pull-offs rather than slides. So he's going all the way down the pentatonic, the blues scale, and then back up again, okay, resolving onto the G there. And then after that, he's then doing something really weird. He's going to a major pentatonic scale. So there's a major pentatonic line there, taken from the major pentatonic scale. Major pentatonic scale is this. So what Kenny's doing here is he's mixing minor and major pentatonic. Okay, so he's not sticking to one scale here. He starts off with that blues minor pentatonic lick, and then he modulates to the major. Okay, there's nothing particularly tricky about it. He just plays a line in minor and then plays a line in major. Now this is something that is used an awful lot in jazz and in blues and in rock as well. I've mentioned it before, but Clapton uses this technique in Sunshine of Your Love. If you listen to his solo, you'll hear him start off in D minor pentatonic and then move to D major pentatonic and back to minor pentatonic again. People like Robin Ford use it as well, Scott Henderson, even people like Pat Metheny use it, okay, even though he's not a particularly big blues rock player or a traditional blues player, he does use it when he uses his blues phrases. You'll hear him mixing minor and major. It's a really important thing to learn. And literally you can just learn from what Kenny's doing here, where he's just starting off with a minor lick and then moving into major pentatonic. So you could experiment with starting off a phrase in minor and then resolving it into major. Thanks for watching if you got this far along. Next week we're going to be taking a look at the next 16 bars. This is going to be the second part in 4 episodes on the solo, because it's quite a long solo. And next week we're going to be looking at more of his pentatonic phrases and some of his repetitive kind of more hand stuff, more repetitive muscle memory type licks. So we'll look at that next week. Things to take away from this week, I think, is to make sure that you know a plethora of scales to be able to play over a 1-chord vamp, which is what Kenny's using here. And his vocabulary here is minor pentatonic, blues, natural minor, and also major pentatonic as well. So it's really good to make sure that you know all those 4 scales there before trying to have a go yourself. And also just look at, again, call and response. Phrasing is key, as I've always said. So look at those 2 things when you're practicing your solo this week. Remember, Patreon is the place to go if you want to grab the backing track and have a go yourself, and you want to pick up the exercises and the transcription packs. And other than that, happy practicing, and I will see you next week. Bye.